Hi everybody. So today I wanted to talk to you about doing more face drawing. And today's drawing is going to be more of an intuitive way to draw faces. So we're going to get started with some warm-ups and then go right into a charcoal drawing of a face. And last time we got into the proportions of the face and doing some measurements so that all of our features were in the right places. And this time we're going to work very intuitively. So even though we're not thinking as much about all that stuff, everything, believe it or not, will come out in the right place. So it's a really fun way to work. It's very experimental and you won't need to think as much. It ends up coming out really exciting, and without having to think about it, everything seems to land in the right place and it all comes together in the end. So I hope you try it. So today we're going to need some charcoal or chalk pastel, and even a charcoal pencil or a very soft pencil will work. So like a 4B or a 6B or an 8B pencil will work if you don't have charcoal. A white plastic eraser is the best eraser to have, and a large piece of paper, preferably like a 16 by 20 or something on the larger size is the best to work on. And then you're going to need a photograph, and it can be from anything like a magazine or something if you have some fashion magazines maybe, or even just any kind of magazine photograph. It can be but a black and white photograph is even better than a color one. And if you have a color one that you really like to work from, you can put it on your printer or copier if you have one at home and just run it off in black and white, because we're looking for a photograph with lots of contrast. So that's all you really need to get started. And I'll meet you inside, and I hope you enjoy this video because it's going to be really fun. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to get ready with our charcoal, and then we're going to do blind contour drawing. So what we do when we do blind contour drawing is we don't look at the paper where we're drawing. We only look at the photograph that or reference that we're drawing from, because you can also do this from life. So if you're looking at a live model or you're looking at your friend and they're looking at you, you can do blind contour drawing from life as well. So what you're doing is you're putting the pencil or the writing tool on your paper, and you're pretending that you are going along the outside of the object you're drawing, and you're not going to lift that pencil up off the paper. So you're going to trace around the head, you're going to trace around the eyes, you're going to go in and out, and just continue drawing until you've drawn as much as you want, and you're not looking at that paper. You're just going to draw. And the more often you do this, the more accurate you'll become at it. But it is really good for a lot of things. Developing your hand-to-eye coordination, really training your eye to look very carefully at what you're drawing. So you can really get very good at drawing just by doing a lot of blind contour as a warm-up. So I have, my students do blind contour as a warm-up a lot. It really helps you develop your drawing skills. It's very beneficial to your drawing practice. So yeah, they come out looking like Picassos sometimes. But it is very beneficial. A lot of artists, do have this as part of their drawing practice. So, and it's really fun to do with your friends. So if you draw each other this way, it can be very fun and silly. So, yeah. blind contour is fun. Give yourself 1 to 3 minutes to do a drawing. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we are going to do a non-dominant hand drawing. So we're going to put, if you're right-handed, put the pencil or the charcoal into your left hand, and vice versa. And same thing, we're going to give ourselves 1 to 3 minutes to do another one of these. And I'm just going to draw right over the first one. I'm going to go ahead and do it right on top of the one I already did. And I'm not even going to worry about it. You'll have far less control. Now, your non-dominant hand is your childlike hand. I do this all the time. If I feel like I'm getting too stiff with my work, or I'm not as fluid as I want to be, or I'm getting too, too tight, I will immediately put my utensil or whatever I'm drawing or painting with into the other hand, just to loosen myself up. And it is a really good practice. So non-dominant hand drawing is something that should be part of your regular practice. And it also helps you, because if you aren't already working in right brain, this will turn on your right brain so fast that it's not even a joke. So even for warm-ups, this is an excellent practice. This exercise is done exactly like the first one. You're just not going to pick that pencil or charcoal up. You're just going to keep drawing and moving around your paper. So it's, very similar to the other one. You're just going to keep drawing and moving around the paper and going in and out of your picture. And you will get different results when you're working with the other hand, because it really does turn on your right brain. So it's very interesting. So when you've done like 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes or so, you can stop and see how far you've come. It's always a surprise. Since both of those exercises were right brain activities, I did not have to think about the proportions of the face. But if you look at my drawing, where I've drawn 2 different exercises on top of each other, my face is now in proportion. My eyes are halfway down between the top and bottom of the face. My nose is halfway between the eyes and the chin, and my lip is halfway between the bottom of my nose and my chin. So everything fell into proportion, not because I thought about the proportions, but because I had turned on my right brain. It happened intuitively. So this is a lot of what Betty Edwards talks about in her book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. These are right brain drawing exercises. And so by using them, they enable us to bypass the left side of our brain and just tap right into that intuitive side of our brain. And we're able to look and draw what we see. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our charcoal or pencil or whatever we're using, and we're really going to look at our photograph. And we're going to be looking for the dark places and the light places in our photograph. And what I like to do is I like to squint, and I'm looking for values. And values are the differences between light and dark places in our drawing. Okay, so when I'm looking at the photograph, or even if I'm looking at a live model, I like to do a big squint. And so what I'm looking for is areas of dark and light. And so I'm going to go in, and you can use the side of your pencil or the side of your charcoal or whatever you're working with. And I'm going to go in and do all my darkest places with my charcoal. And I'm really going to get in there and scrub with the side of my charcoal, which I'm doing now. I actually broke off the piece because I have one of those pencils that you tear the string down, and so I got a big piece off, and then I just scrubbed along. And then, you know, I'm going to get those darkest places in, and then I'm going to tone the entire picture. I'm going to use the charcoal to not only color in darkly the darkest places, but I'm going to color over the entire face, the hair, everywhere with the charcoal, not only the dark places, but I am going to color over. So you can watch what I'm doing and just see how I'm starting the process. When I'm doing this, I am really looking at my photograph. I am working on my piece, but I'm looking very intently at my photograph. That's something that's really important when you're drawing from a reference. You can't lose sight of the fact that you should be looking at that reference. Even if you're not doing like a blind contour drawing, you should be looking at your reference most of the time. Even up to like 80% of the time, even if you're drawing on your paper, you should be looking at your reference the majority of the time because it's that important for you to look at it. And that is how you start to begin to get a likeness of your subject. And that is so important. Just keeping your eyes on your reference is huge. So part of doing those exercises where you're not looking at your paper at all, it really does help train you to really keep your eyes on your reference, whether it's a live model or a photograph or some other kind of reference. Now, it's important for you to go in and get pencil or charcoal over the entire piece like I'm doing here. Like I colored the entire face. It's important for you to do that, even in the light places. And we're going to pull some of that color back out. But getting that color in there is important. It still even surprises me, and I've been drawing forever, that crazy drawing that I started out with, like, you know, probably 10 minutes ago, starts to look like the photograph. I mean, because it really looked like a 3-year-old drew it not that long ago. And then, you know, it's not even that much longer. These are really quick studies. I mean, you know, if you were doing a very serious portrait or something, you would, you know, be working on it for, you know, weeks. These are just little quick studies. This whole video's gonna take like probably a half hour. You know, it'll be a quick charcoal sketch. You know, people that do professional portrait painters, you know, they work on their paintings for weeks at a time. So it's funny how quickly they can come along, and just in a few minutes. Now I'm getting ready here just to start pulling out. I'm looking at my photograph and I'm finding the lightest areas on my picture. And I'm using my eraser to start to pull out those areas. Now, it's hard probably for you to see, but like the chin, parts of the cheek, the forehead, parts of the eyelids, those places all had the lightest values. And again, value is the difference between the lightest lights and the darkest darks in your picture. So when you start painting and drawing, you'll hear people talking about value, and value is very important in your painting. So you start by taking out some of the lightest values. You're going to pull back some of the charcoal we put down. You're going to start pulling out some of the color that's on the face. We can blend some of the charcoal that's already down, and we can pull some out and put some back in and other places. But this is part of the process, is adding it and taking it away. As I get farther into the drawing, I'm looking to see like what places need to be darker, what places need to be lighter. I'm adjusting my values on the face. I'm looking at the eyes, and because the eyes are very expressive on this particular person, so those are probably going to be the most important place, I think. So I'm really looking at her eyes. She has very expressive eyes. I'm trying to get those right. And, she has a lot of dark makeup on, and her eyes are very deep set. So I was trying to really spend a lot of time there. And if I needed to pull some of the heavy dark places out again, it wasn't going to concern me, because it doesn't matter how much you put in, you can always pull it back out. And that's the beauty of this type of a drawing, is that you can make areas very dark if you want to in the beginning, and then you're going to be pulling them back out. It is a very messy process, but it's a very intuitive way to work, and you can really find your way, because you can blend with your fingers. It's a very hands-on kind of way to draw. It's super fun and very intuitive, because even if you make a mistake, you can pull it out and just keep going. I'm really starting to pick away at some of the dark areas with my eraser. I'm really starting to pull, some of the darker color out. I keep looking and finessing the smaller areas. Some of the areas were too dark. And some of the charcoal, when you're just drawing and trying to get everything in there, there was lines I didn't like that, just happened. And I know that vine charcoal would have probably been the best kind to use with this, and I didn't have that. So, I'm kind of just fighting my materials, I guess, a little bit here. So I ended up with lines I didn't really want on the face and stuff. But, and now I'm getting into, I only put one hand, because sometimes I think it's much more expressive to have one. And so I did that. That was just a little decision I made, because I wasn't doing a full representation of the photograph. And I thought, just having the one hand would be more expressive. So I put that, and, I'm refining at this point. There's a lot of places that I want to refine, so that's what I'm working over. And that's what happens once you get to a certain point. You start to really look and see and keep refining and picking at it and stepping back and really looking, and that's the really fun part, I think, for me, is what, when you get to this place in the drawing, because it's just like a look and see and add and take away, and it's just a really interesting place to be in the drawing. So when I got here, I really started to pick away at those last little places and really started to polish it up as far as the lights and the darks, and smoothed out some areas, and I wanted to make it as light as I could. And I really tried to refine it as much as I possibly could. There was some places I really wanted to, just clean up. I ended up with this big mark on that side of the face that I finally got out. And sometimes it's like that. You just have to keep picking away until you're satisfied with what the final result is. And so that's what I did, and I just kept at it until I was happy with how it looked. And I'm just, playing with the last details and refining, and that's just kind of the process of it. You just keep going and adding and taking away until you're happy with what it looks like. But still, in all, this still took me just about a half hour. I hope you liked this video. If so, please like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps my channel grow, and I really do appreciate it so much. Thanks for being here, and please come again soon.